St. Cloud, Florida, this is the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
Now, you don't sing, you can't dance, you don't tell jokes, and you've been doing this for 19 years. That's right.
Welcome to the Doc Show, Coast to Coast.
I've got the best jokes in the world, but nobody here gets them.
He's reading it and he got it wrong.
That says it all.
Although he won't call it Muslim terror, because those are his people.
Give Doc a call, 407-498-3193.
That dude that runs Canada's got balls. I wish they would adopt us.
Oh, I'd like him.
I don't know why his parents named him Kareem, but he's not Muslim. He actually listens to the show. He likes you. I questioned his sanity sometimes.
Oh, I like her. She's a cutie.
What do you get when you cross a highly outspoken individual with the power of radio?
If I may be so bold, and I don't like to ask this.
Guys, how much more do you need?
Well, you still get the highly outspoken Doc.
Would you rather be South Canada with a brave prime minister who flat out called it Muslim terror?
Often imitated, never quite duplicated.
Or would you rather be under the rule of jihadists?
Any precautions or modifications?
Which is slowly but surely going to happen.
This is the Doc Show, Coast to Coast, with Doc Holliday.
Yes, we made it to Tuesday. Without somebody clubbing another human being about men who make tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars because of the flag. But won't stand for the flag. And there was so much misleading information yesterday. And it all came out of the left. They jumped, and they jumped as fast as they could. They started on Puerto Rico. What does he care about Kaepernick for? Never said he was talking about him. When he does nothing for Puerto Rico. It was actually said and then spread around. So I looked up what the United States has done. Under Trump's orders to help the United States citizens that live in Puerto Rico, because they are citizens of the United States. And actually, he's done quite a bit. But the media's like, no, ain't nothing in Puerto Rico. You see that commercial with the 5 ex-presidents? They're doing something. Well, Donald Trump, and they don't report this. They don't give it any headway. They want to report on a speech in Alabama where, yeah, he might have got a little out of control, but you know, bottom line is, he's right. You know. He just says stuff that other people wouldn't dare say. I mean, I'd say it. But they wouldn't say it. They could cost them votes. They're just interested in keeping that easy money and those 8 weeks of vacation every 2 weeks coming. We sent $1 billion. $1 billion. Now, I know that Obama was better because he gave Iran $150 billion. So we must not care about Puerto Rico. All they got was $1 billion. That was it. 10,000 boots on the ground within 48 hours of the second one. There already were people down there from the first time they got nailed with the hurricane. FEMA might want to change their name because everybody equates FEMA with the big lies of Hurricane Katrina and a rap singer who got on stage and said, George Bush hates black people. Well, so, see, this has been going on for a while. And then, you got Obama. You lived, I guess you thought you were getting over you had Obama as president for 8 years, but he didn't really get anything accomplished. But see, you don't hear that. $1 billion immediately from under Donald Trump's authorization, 10,000 new people in the form of volunteers, National Guard, people trained in medical expertise. He's also going to be sending more, I don't know if this is, going to make him happy, but more food. And the food that you get isn't always what you see when you see it sitting out, when Fox 35 goes by with a camera and they're helping out with the drive, and you see a box of mac and cheese. They turn that into other things, like military mac and cheese. And people are angry and people are screaming. As usual, the left has come out and flat out lied. Why do we got to have this? You see, Trump said what he said and moved on. Trump said what he said and got back to business with Lil' Kim. He got back to business of making sure that we were keeping up with Puerto Rico. And he got back to business by making his trip next week. I mean, let's face it, getting a jumbo jet into Puerto Rico is not going to happen today. Go down there, to hug, to reassure. I'm sure he has more money he's going to bring. $1 billion. He made sure that reached the governor of Puerto Rico, who was interviewed and said, I couldn't thank the administration more. See, they haven't jumped out and said, look at me. Look at me. I'm George Clooney, and I just gave $100,000. Well, what has Trump done? Well, if they don't report it, you'll never know. So they don't report what the United States government has already authorized, because technically they're a commonwealth, they're kind of stuck in the middle, but they're American citizens. And people, you want some good fake news. People are saying that the reason that America has sent no help, this is stuff they're saying on CNBC and CN Dead End. The reason they didn't help is they didn't know they were citizens. Within 48 hours, when it was legitimately safe for people on the ground and the people that were being shipped, money gets wired. They have $1 billion to help start the rebuild. And I'm seeing all this stuff that Donald said about Puerto Rico and, you know, if you guys want to keep on this NFL thing, that's fine. You know, there's a lot of me and Donald except in the bank. And I would say something along those lines. I'd laugh. He knew where he was. He was in Alabama. And trust me, he's got like a 70% approval rating in Alabama. So he knew his audience. But the mainstream, you know, the left wing, won't leave the NFL thing alone now. Okay? They absolutely positively are just asking about Trump and the NFL, which is, let's see, about 5 days ago. No, you know, I don't like to see it any more than anybody else because when you're protesting over something ignorant, you don't know why you're doing it. So if you just don't happen to like Donald Trump, you take a knee. I thought with the Dallas Cowboy owner Jimmy Jones, I thought Jones had the right idea. But it was turned into the Cowboys, who, by the way, under Jones, have to stand for the anthem. And all it did was show them kneeling. Anthem wasn't playing. They were assembling, and they all took the sidelines, and they locked arms, and some kneeled down. And old Jones kneeled down, needed a little help getting up, but, you know, he's like 72. Then, and only then, they sang the national anthem. But see, that was all twisted. Because they got footage of that big flag, and then they spiced it up good, and it shows Dallas, and then Jerry Jones taking a knee. Now, Jerry Jones wouldn't take a knee against the national anthem he doesn't need any money. But for any particular reason, he wanted his team in solidarity. So he goes, I'll go down with you, and I'll kneel if you pray. And then when they were done, they stood up, and the Dallas Cowboys all stood for the national anthem. So if you happen to see that clip, somebody, downloads the meme of Johnson saying, if you don't stand for the anthem, you don't stand for the Cowboys, and, find other work. Now they're saying, that's a big lie. Jerry Jones, he didn't stand for the anthem. That's not true. And the Cowboys stood for the anthem. It was ingenious on Jones's part to show his team that he understands they're upset about something, but business is football. All right? So don't get all bent out of shape about it. But I'll go out there with you before the anthem. We'll kneel and pray. And then your asses better be up. 100% of the Cowboys stood for the national anthem. But if you watch TV, they say that Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, and that shakes everybody up. They're like, oh, my God. Oh, Jerry Jones very cleverly omitted the fact that those are the way the facts happen. And then you've got Tomlinson in Pittsburgh, who, excuse me, who shamed his one brave and battle-tested football player while the Steelers hid in the runway, joking and laughing. Villanueva, who was an offensive tackle, he protects the quarterback. These guys never sell any jerseys because nobody knows who they are. They just know these are the big hosses that actually probably have the most difficult job, which is protecting the quarterback against an on-rushing defense. Well, his jersey is now number one. The number one selling jersey in the NFL. I ask. I said, do you normally sell his jersey? And they were like, no, but we had to make them. Because when you get a jersey, if you go to a sports shop, I don't have any one in particular. We got a bunch of them down here. Baseball cards and authentic NFL gear and Major League Baseball unis. What they do is if you don't find the player, and they're all on hooks on the wall, you can walk over at no charge and they press it for you. Put the name on, whatever. So that's what people started doing. Now, he apologizes because his coach jumped him. And he says, I didn't mean to embarrass the team or the coach because that's what he got told. I just wanted to get out there so I could see the flag, and, he had his hand over his heart. And so, once again, Donald Trump has moved on. But everybody else is stuck on Trump. And then when they turn the TV on, and Trump spends all his time talking about the NFL, has done nothing for Puerto Rico. We sent him $1 billion, 10,000 people.
You mean the U.S.? You said the NFL.
Huh?
You said that the NFL hasn't done anything for Puerto Rico. You meant the U.S. hasn't done anything for Puerto Rico when you said your statement, and then you go on to say how much money we spent or sent in relief.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
All right. Trump hasn't done anything except send $1 billion, get 10,000 people, workers, Red Cross, as soon as space permits, he's going to get more people down there. And there's a commercial that runs on TV now with the 5 ex-presidents asking for you to send money Well, I think $1 billion is pretty good. Well, they're not going to talk about that because Donald gave him something else to talk about. The flag. Do you know that you're being told that people in America are outraged at Trump and upset over the fact that he doesn't acknowledge Puerto Rico? You're actually being told that when the exact opposite is true. I mean, that to me is 100% whitewash, is best as it gets. It doesn't get any better. Trump has said 3 or 4 times, I'm moving on. Press conference for the first 45 minutes yesterday. The secretary, his daughter, Huckabee.
Oh, yeah, Sarah Sanders Huckabee.
She had the Monday briefing.
Mm-hmm. She does every day, right? That's part of her job.
45 minutes of questions about Donald Trump and the NFL.
Who cares?
45 minutes, and it wasn't until then when she started repeating her answers that somebody asked about Puerto Rico. And she was like, well, I'm glad you asked because he's been very busy. And she went and described the $1 billion. I know we didn't give it to terrorists. And you like guys that give money to terrorists. But no, he has sent $1 billion and he's going to shake free more money.
You know, and just kind of, I want to point out, I'm sorry, I'm like kind of sitting awkward here. But anyway, well, you can't see it, so what do you care? Anyway, I want to point out too, I was listening to Senator Rubio, our Florida senator here. He does FaceTime Live, tries to do it every day. Sometimes he doesn't get to it every day. But he did one this morning, and, you know, he said they're not forgetting about Puerto Rico. You know, so when people say we're forgetting about Puerto Rico, we're not. He said, you know, we acknowledge that the Puerto Rican citizens are U.S. citizens. They are our brothers and sisters. They are United States citizens, just like you and I are. And he said the dilemma and the challenge is that, and he makes a very good point, you know, unlike Florida and Houston, you can't send trucks to Puerto Rico via a bridge or a roadway. You have to send the trucks via embargo ships. And the problem is the ports are destroyed right now in Puerto Rico. So they can only get so many of those utility trucks in at a time to help restore electricity. They can only get so many dump trucks, you know, for garbage disposal in, things like that. So, and then the dilemma becomes, because it is a small island, once they get there, you know, where are you going to put them all until the time comes where they got to go back? Excuse me. So that's one challenge. The other challenge is he mentioned in his Facebook Live this morning was that the Coast Guard is literally running off of sticky notes and 4 phone lines. When have you ever known the U.S. Coast Guard to be that limited in its communication power? Never. So they're dealing with challenges at the federal assistance level, and they're doing the best they can. And I understand. Listen, my best friend and her family is from Puerto Rico. You know, their family's from Puerto Rico, and they're of Puerto Rican descent. And my best friend Gloria too. And you know, sometimes we laugh. Gloria and I will laugh about the dramatics of the Hispanic family and how dramatic it can be. And so I understand how dramatic this is for all of you. And this legitimately is a dramatic situation. But you have to try to just sit down, calm down, and relax a bit. You have to try, because they're doing the best that they can. Everybody wants these people to be helped immediately. But the resources are not easily accessible like they are here in the mainland in the United States. So try to understand there are different challenges. There are different obstacles, but the government is working to help. They just have different obstacles. This is not like Katrina in New Orleans where, they could go in from the other part of the state to get to New Orleans, via roads and things like that. This isn't like Houston where we can drive a truck in, or here in Florida where we can drive a truck in. You have to understand. And you can only land right now at the airport one airplane at a time every 15 minutes. They have no air traffic control tower. They're telling people that are coming in, I heard this morning on the news, they're telling people with like private pilot's licenses that they can only fly in the daylight because they have no air traffic control. They're telling commercial jets that are trying to get in there that they can only fly in the daylight because they can't direct them in, and you're flying at your own risk. That's a problem. I mean, think about it. All these, granted, they're limited flights, but the flights that are coming out of Puerto Rico right now, think about how dangerous that is. Think about the challenges that the pilots have, no less the airport. And so they're doing the best that they can with what they've got to work with. And it's just a different challenge. And I think for most of us here in the States, even those of us that have maybe come to live here in the States instead of staying in Puerto Rico, I think what we fail to forget is that Puerto Rico is an island, and we've never had to deal with the catastrophe that was Hurricane Maria. We've never experienced how to deal with the catastrophe on one of our islands, one of our territories or commonwealths to this magnitude. When we deal with natural disasters, it's typically here on the mainland. And again, we're able to come in from roadways, and we have other airports that might be functioning to get people closer, and then they drive in or they drive out, that sort of thing. We don't have that option. And this is a new challenge for us. And I have to tell you, I think that the government is doing the best that they can, and I think they're doing a great job. I mean, we've still got a lot of work to do here in Florida. They've still got a lot of work to do in Houston. But all focus right now is on the people of Puerto Rico because they know there are people that need their medicine. Some of their medicines need to be refrigerated. They have no power on the island. They have no means. I heard saw a friend of mine on Facebook post that she was able to finally speak with her aunt and uncle, and they're safe and they have water. But the problem is that they have to boil the water, and they don't have gas, and they don't have electricity to turn on a stove to boil the water. So it's great that you have the water, but you can't consume the water right now. It's just so many challenges. And so please, the first thing that I ask you all to do, and this is from the bottom of my heart, the first thing I ask you to do is stop and pray for the people that have been impacted by that. Pray for the people that need to respond to it, which would include the government of Puerto Rico, the United States government, the first responders that are coming in from all over the country to help Puerto Rico when they can get there, the air traffic controllers, the Coast Guard, everybody that's coming in to try to help. You need to just ask for special blessings for them and special prayers for them, because this is a lot. This is a lot that they're going through, a real lot. And it's a challenge, and it's a new challenge for them. And obviously the people that reside on the island, they need your prayers and help as best you can. Second thing is, find a legitimate charity to donate to. I don't know that the Red Cross, I don't know if they're going into Puerto Rico. They may not be able to right now.
They're in.
They're in? Mm-hmm. So, if you have clothing, I know how some people feel about the Red Cross. So here's the thing. If you have clothing that you were going to get rid of, I just got a flyer in the mail that the Red Cross is coming within a couple of days to, pick up household items and things like that, clothing, things like that. Maybe make a clothing donation because, you know what, honestly, or household items, they may very well get those items to Puerto Rico for people that don't have any clothes anymore. And I know how people feel, but at least I know that if I make a donation of clothing to the Red Cross, they don't have a store that they're going to sell it in. They don't, their big CEOs are not going to make money off of reselling my old clothing and my old socks. It's going to get to people that need it. I do believe that part of it. That people are saying you can contact FEMA directly to find out how you can make a donation. To reliable organizations. Let the first responders respond. The government is doing the best that they can with the challenges ahead of them for Puerto Rico. They have not been forgotten. They have not. The government's, in my opinion, the government is doing everything that they possibly can. So again, let's come together as human beings and really just pray and donate where you can donate, but, and be patient where you can be patient. It's going to be okay. They're going to get through this, just like we all do here. It's just going to take them a little bit longer. But with our help, our love, support, prayers, they will get through it. And the first responders will be able to respond the way they need to respond to protect the best interests of the island and the people that are on the island. All of us trying to make a mad dash to Puerto Rico right now, not going to happen. Don't even bother. Don't try it. I know you had the best of intentions, but we as individuals that are not trained to do this should not be there right now. We need to step back and let the pros do what the pros need to do.
Very well said. And so now that you know that all the press talked about this weekend, and still today, hell, it's Tuesday already. And then when they light him up for the horrible thing where he said, cut a guy if he doesn't want to stand. It's part of the game. And it is. It's in the NFL rule book. Just over and over and over. They are the ones that are leaving Puerto Rico out with a simple, paragraph. People saw the 5 ex-presidents, asking for your money. And they go, no, that's how it should be done. Yet they don't know. We already got people up there. All right, but the line truck thing is a perfect example. So they put as many people in there as they can. The governor of Puerto Rico himself. I mean, he even called out fake news. He says, no. We got $1 billion from the United States. And then he went on to tell, and I couldn't write it down quick enough, but I remember most of it. He went on to let everybody know that Trump's got it handled. And Donald's moved on now from the NFL, but you won't let it go. The press won't let it go. It's fun to talk about because, you get yourself a libtard, and they've heard such wild stories. The worst thing I heard, I'll tell you, after the break, and I'd like to hear what you think about the whole thing. You know that we've sent $1 billion. See, the press doesn't expect you to be able to have a conversation with the governor of Puerto Rico. So they sat there and had 4 days of saying whatever they wanted to, making Trump look bad. Well, I hate to break it to you, but he started with $1 billion, and this was done before he called out guys for not standing. But the worst thing I heard, we'll talk about next. 407-498-3193. This is the Doc Show, coming to you halfway in the middle of Florida, where it's still steaming hot, baby. Actually, the country hasn't cooled off. I know it's global warming. Well, I like it, so keep it up.
It's September 26th. It needs to get cold.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
43 minutes after the hour.